My name is Chance Winchester. This is my project, Jean Piaget's Cognitive Developmental Learning Theory. I'm going to go a little bit over a backstory of who Jean Piaget is. He was a Swiss psychologist that worked for many decades on understanding children's cognitive development. His theory on cognitive development is the most known theory based on cognitive development. He was intrigued by kids' thoughts and behaviors and worked to understand their cognitive development. He is also credited for being the founder of constructivism. Now we'll go a little bit over about what constructivism is. It is based on how learning occurs as students are being active and engaged in the lesson, with building their own knowledge and memory by working through things through trial and error rather than just memory building. It is also based on what students already know and how they connect to the new knowledge that they are gathering and getting it in the lesson. Advantages of using this in the classroom include, being student-centered. Students are learning how to learn with each other and independently while also promoting collaboration. Some examples of ways that teachers can do this in their classroom is through primary sources. Like it shows with the bird and the squirrel looking at the screen, shows like diaries, stuff like that is a primary source. And with the bird is looking at the bottom, topics and problems that are relevant, something that's like going on in the news. Okay, now what is cognitive development? It is the emergence and gaining of the ability to think, reason, understand, and problem solve. It is the process that progresses in four stages where people's thinking changes as they go through life. It is also the ability to grow, understand, and learn how to adapt to the physical and social environments. And Jean Piaget, he researched and studied the thought processes of children at different ages. I think he researched his children, I believe, reading up on it. How cognitive development occurs. It occurs gradually and happens in order, and as a result, the mental process becomes more complex and advanced. The key concepts that I'm going to go over that occur during cognitive development include schemas, assimilation, accommodations, and equilibrium. Okay, now first schemas. Schema is an internal representation of the world that describes both the physical and mental actions involved in knowing and understanding. These are used in young children to demonstrate patterns of behavior and thinking, whereas adults use it to deal with objects in the world. And schemas are also used as a way to organize knowledge. Okay, now assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation is defined as using a schema that already exists to help deal with new objects or situations. Accommodation is defined as what happens when a new object or schema does not fit the existing one. It needs to be changed to deal with the new ones. Adaptation is very important in both these processes because it helps adjust the schemes based on the response to the environments. And equilibrium happens whenever a child's existing schema can deal with and manage new information through assimilation by restoring balance between new experiences and understanding. Okay, now we'll go through the four stages of Piaget's cognitive development. And the first stage is sensorimotor. This is the first and earliest stage, from birth to 2 years old. In this stage, infants are creating experiences and understanding the world around them with using their senses and motor skills. Infants in this stage are also beginning to understand and develop object permanence, where they know that the objects still exist even if they are not seen. And at the end of this stage, infants go from their reflective behaviors to the beginning stages of being able to problem solve and use language. Okay, now the second stage, pre-operational. And this is the second stage from ages 2 to 7. In this stage, children from toddlers to early childhood start to use symbols and language to represent objects along with developing language and concepts. Conservation is a very big issue in this stage for young children. And it also in the textbook, it goes over two different ways, reversibility and centration. And centration, is the going of just going over one concept at a time. And reversibility is going back to the beginning and changing the mindset, just thinking differently about how it can be the same. Young children are also very egocentric. Their only views are based on their own experiences. Okay. The third stage, concrete operational. This is the third stage. It occurs from ages 7 to 11. In this stage, children start to form concepts, see relationships, and solve problems. Children in this stage also begin to understand the true meaning of different things despite of deceiving context. Now, the couple of parts that are important in concrete operational is seriation, is where you're arranging objects into order according to different criteria, and also transitivity, being able to mentally arrange objects and are able to compare the objects to each other. Okay, the fourth and last one is formal operational. This is the fourth and final stage. It occurs from ages 11 to adulthood. In this stage, the thought processes of adolescents and adults are now able to think and have more flexible and abstract thoughts. Also, in this stage, you can logically solve problems. You are now able to understand that not everything is not absolute but relative, and you also develop skills such as inductive and deductive reasoning. Okay, how teachers can use this in theory in their classroom? They can use this, helping different types of learners using visual aids and props, to help reinforce, the important concepts you want your students to learn. And hands-on and cooperative learning, it's a big key in it, to help students learn how to work together and also too to help them learn because they're, working, using their hands. Creative, you need to do creative activities. That's also another important part of Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory. And those are my references. And that's my project.